Hey, Pitt fans, welcome back to another edition of Pitt Panther Talk. I'm joined once again by the guru, Harry Psaros. Good weekend, Harry?
Good weekend. Can't complain. Just got my certification for my second degree black belt, although I'm
Ooh.
almost at my third degree. So it took a long time because of the pandemic, but I got it. I'm excited. So no complaints. Good weekend.
All right, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's been a busy since the last time you and I talked. It was the day of the William Jeffers commit, and they received a bunch of other ones that we reviewed. But since then, Pitt asked or Pitt football received two commitments, and also last night made a little bit of a stir. So we will get into that. Let's start off with the big news. I think it's just significant because number one is the uh, emphasis Pitt wanted to place on getting into Texas. And they got a kid, when you get a kid from Austin, Texas, it doesn't get any bigger than that. And when you talk about the high school he comes from, uh, 3, 4 NFL prospects there, including Baker Mayfield. Um, I assume you talked to the head coach. What do you make of the commit?
Uh, This is a fascinating commitment, and I think one that could pay off for Pitt here down the line. I understand some of our fans, and our fans tend to be very fatalistic, and you're going to hear me say that a few times.
No, not Pitt
But
fans.
recruiting is projection. And I've seen this over and over again. And I said this, if you're going to get a 6'6" quarterback from some small classification in Wyoming or West Virginia, then you worry a little bit. Lake Travis is a traditional football factory, as you said. This is someone that stepped in on the biggest stage last year, was asked to win games, and went 6-0 before being replaced again by the Texas commit. He has a big arm. He has a lot of room to grow. And yeah, I mean, he has a decent, not stellar offer sheet, but if you're projecting and looking what he can become, this is a pretty good commitment. There's a lot to
What
be
stands out
excited.
to me, Harry, not to interrupt you for a second, but you know this. People look at the offer sheet and oh no, he only had this amount of offers. But doesn't it say something to the fact that this kid has only played 6 high school football games, and he was receiving offers and Power 5 offers at that? That doesn't that tell you something?
Exactly. It's what I want to emphasize, and you're going to hear me say this twice. I'll talk about our second commitment as well, but I need fans to understand this. If you got these two young men who are playing on powerhouse programs and let them traditionally, and COVID has messed all this up, let them go through camps. By the end of summer, trust me when I say this, both of these young men would have been sitting on anywhere from a dozen to 20 Power 5 scholarship offers. That's fact. And I know a lot of people, again, a lot of our fans are fatalistic. But again, to your point, this quarterback, Nate Yarnell, went out, won 6 games on the biggest stage, and that's all he's done. And yet he still had some really solid offers in place. So this is a great commitment. There's a lot to work with. You cracked, other than Eric Hallett. I want to make sure to throw his name out. He's
Right.
from Texas and on the roster. But again, you cracked a major program from a major state that produces talent. It's a win-win.
Yeah, and the one thing you got to watch, and I don't want to sound, but I'm going to be real. I'm a realist, and if this kid goes out and has a big, Pitt is not done, and you know this. Just because you get a commitment from a kid, the recruiting isn't over. If this kid
Right.
goes out and has a big senior season, being in Texas, being around the Big 12, programs are going to try to poach this kid. There's no that's reality. We're not trying to be Debbie Downers or anything like that. That's just the world of recruiting. So get ready to hear that. And if you follow this guy on Twitter, he's going to be receiving more offers. Teams down south aren't going to accept he committed to Pitt. They're going to still offer, and they're going to continue to recruit this kid.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, I did talk to his coach about this, and Coach Carter, did indicate, and I've gone back and forth messaging with Nate as well. seems like a really great young man.
Yeah.
If anything, I will say this: he seems very high character. Seems like the type of kid that once he comes and visualizes Pitt, they stand a better chance. And if I could add, he wants to join the team in January. He wants a mid-year transfer. That really helps
Yes.
Pitt's case, anyways.
Yes.
But it really comes down, and you've heard Charlie Partridge say this, you've heard Pat Narduzzi say this, relationships matter. They're going to continue to build that. Whipple's going to continue to build that rapport with him through the season. And to your point, you just lock on. They got really lucky because if anybody's going to get poached, it could be this kid. And I think the fact that he wants to join the program early actually is in Pitt's favor.
All right, recruit number 2, Marco Fugar, big offensive. I think he projects as an offensive guard. What do you know about him?
Again, St. Thomas Aquinas is a football powerhouse. I couldn't help but laugh. Within 10 minutes of this kid committing, I heard 2 fans reach out to me. I usually get inundated with a lot of input. And they said, "Oh my God, we're reaching. Look at his offer list." And I'm sitting there holding my head because you have a 285-pound mauler. And if you watch his film, his feet, Bob Junko back in the day is the one that said to me, "Let me show you how to look at alignments when you're evaluating. Look at this film." He told me, always look at the feet first. Well, I did. This kid can move. He's 285 pounds. I love a lineman that plays with a lot of nasty, and this kid has it. He's starting, again, I'm going to repeat myself, for a powerhouse program down in Florida. And if given the time, and I think part of it too, I was trying to figure out, why I didn't have 20 offers by now. He's actually growing into his body. And I've messaged him back and forth. We've discussed this. He was, I think, 270 like a year ago. The kid's 285 now and growing. So, again, I think they need linemen. It's a second solid offensive lineman in this class. He's 285 pounds again, very physical, can move, and really felt like home at Pitt based on everything they showed him. And I think what's exciting for some of these, the players that have committed and yet to see it, when they come up and I think they see the facilities and everything else, it's going to really solidify that commitment. But to me, there's a lot to like about this kid as well. And again, we're talking about reaches. To me, a reach is when you're looking at maybe a team that has struggled. You're looking at a lower echelon team from obscure state, whatever it might be. This isn't the case with Yarnell. It's not the case either with Fugar. And again, I think there's a lot for the fans to get excited about.
And I guess the scouting report, according to the evaluators of his tape and everything, he's an advanced, as you mentioned, he's a mauler. He's advanced at run blocking, and he needs to work on his pass blocking. And so that he'd fit right in with the Pitt offense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is somebody Dave Borbley will work a lot with. And I will tell you, I mean, he is 6'4". For Borbley, that's actually on the shorter side. Borbley likes him larger. He likes the taller guys. So this guy's going to play inside, either center, guard. But I still think where he's at, there's a lot to work with, and I think he's going to turn out to be a really good Panther.
Before we're gonna wrap this up, our last question to Harry is going to be about. We're going to look at their 9 commitments, position-wise, and where they're going to go. But we're going to go to the big news from last night, and the phone's been blowing up. Our website, of course, has gotten a lot of reaction, and that's the news of Donovan McMillon, Peters Township, coming out with his top 10. And I'll be honest with you, I as this went on and he continued to add the offers, I thought Pitt's chances of landing him were small. I think at the beginning, as he started to feel the SEC and all those programs, I thought Pitt's chances really went down. I was surprised just from speaking with him and just the whole. I was surprised that Pitt didn't make his top 10. I was actually surprised. I was shocked when I got the early message on who his top 10 were, and I saw Pitt wasn't on there. I had to reach back out to his family member and make sure there wasn't a mistake, because I was like, wow. But is that the biggest thing that stood out to you?
Yeah, I many comments on this. First, I wish him well. I mean, he's a local player. Hope he does well. You know, I some players simply take a lot of pride in staying home. Others feel that they need to go elsewhere. The sense that I got early on, everybody connected to this kid, was that he might look elsewhere. And God bless him. Look, it is what it is, what it is. You know, and I can understand. I can hear it right now. Again, our fans tend to be fatalistic. I can hear him blaming Narduzzi. If a kid doesn't want to stay home, he's going. So, yeah, I never got the sense that Pitt would be a major player. You could say it'd be a class move to at least include him in the top 10. What he realistically did, and nobody wants to hear this, is he did Pitt a favor. Because if he's not coming, you need to move on. Recruiting is sales. Every no gets you to a yes. That being said, let me tie that in. What Narduzzi has done well, and they're going to end up doing this, is created what I call their Southern strategy. Florida, South Carolina, Georgia. I'm not shocked, by the way. There's been several DBs offered out of Georgia and South Carolina within, the last day? Because they probably caught wind that this kid was going to go elsewhere. So to me, you can't sit and dwell. He didn't put him in the top 10. He wasn't going to stay home. You move on. You move south and find a very good player down there. And they could do that very easily. And they got the H recruiters to do it. So I want to state this for the record. This was a loss. This was a very good local player. But if the kid doesn't want to stay home, you can't sell him. So move on and deal with it. And I would say the same thing to Pitt fans. Focus on the players that want to come. That's the best you could do. And I wish him well. I hope he does well the program he goes to. But reality is you can't sell a kid that doesn't want to stay.
Yeah, I'm going to get into something because the unfortunate thing that happens, and a situation like this, there's back and forth from both sides as far as the fan bases. They don't react well to a kid leaving, and I think that's the right thing to do. And you also have the other side of questioning Pitt and Narduzzi in the way they recruit. And I saw a ridiculous message in it. This is what prompted actually me to reach out to you, because I wanted to let some steam off a little bit about questioning how hard Narduzzi recruited some of they were talking about the local losses, and they blame him. You didn't recruit these guys hard enough, blah, blah, blah. That is the biggest bunch of bull crap.
Yeah.
Pat Narduzzi recruited Donovan Jeter as hard as anybody he's recruited. He's recruited Quantel Raines as hard as anybody you can recruit. Same goes to Lamont Wade. All those guys. If they leave, it's not always Pitt's fault when they leave. Don't give the recruiting, they didn't work hard enough to get the recruit, because that's just a bunch of crap.
It's complete and utter nonsense. And to add to that, and I hope fans listen to this, if they don't succeed where they're at and want to come back home, I get very annoyed with the fans that automatically think a door should open. You spurned Pitt the first time. And just recently, we had the Quintel Raines coming, that wanted to come back.
Right.
We were loaded at safety. Why bring him? And not to mention, too, I had to remind a few fans, he didn't exactly tear it up at WVU. So, I want to say this. I wish him well, but I wouldn't exactly snap open the door if he wanted to come back. But Narduzzi and staff really work their tails off. The fans that say that know nothing about what's going on behind the scenes. So I agree with you.
We're going to get into some recruiting myths here, because you've been doing this longer than me, and things go out there. And the problem with Twitter and message boards and Facebook and everything else is when somebody puts something out there, you're going to have a segment of the fans. Look at that. Look what he said. That's true. It isn't true. Here's number one myth that drives me crazy, and I hear this all the time. Does it matter when a team offers a player, in your opinion? Does it matter if they were first, middle, or coming late? Does that matter getting a kid?
No. What if, look, and I'm in sales, and I relate everything to sales and recruiting. The first offer is a sales. Well, it does show you believe in the player, and it can't open up a dam. But what it is, it's a way to it's a way essentially to sell the player, to go, we were the first to believe in you. But ultimately, that player has to go to a team, to a school that he feels he's going to really grow for the next 4 years. He's comfortable, he loves. So Pitt could offer every player in the country that's worthy right now their first scholarship offer. If they go to Pitt and they go, well, I want more of a rural environment, you're not going to get them.
Yeah.
Does it help in a sense if Pitt fits the criteria of what the player wants? Again, it's something they could hold on to, the staff, and go, we believed in you, we were the first. At times it resonates, but it's not as important as fans think. It really is. I mean, like I said, it really everything has to connect. It might matter, but I would say the majority of the time, no, not really.
Yeah, I can give you examples. The latest one, obviously, is McMillon. They were the first one to offer him.
Right.
Did it matter? No. Josh Rawlings, tight end from Woodland Hills last year. I believe Pitt was his first or second offer. Did it matter? No. MJ Devonshire, Pitt was an early offer on him. And Kentucky was the last Power 5 school to offer him right before signing day. Where did he end up? Kentucky. So
right.
You can go over, you can make whatever cases you want. I just don't think, if you want to go to the school, if that school is important to you, if you relate to the coaches, you're going to go there no matter when. If Alabama offers a kid, it doesn't matter when Alabama comes in. If they offer a kid, they're going to be thought of. So, the same rules have to be applied. I know Pitt's not, Pitt doesn't win as much as Alabama, but the theory's still the same.
Yeah, there's like I said, the rare circumstances where it might be a kid, and this has happened, like maybe a football player out of New York that says, I prefer a city environment. So Pitt offers first, and all the dots connect. They'll go, you know what? I love it. Like A.J. Roberts is kind of like this in the last class. Izzy, I can never say his last name, Izzy, the running back. They both kind of indicated they wanted a city environment, and Pitt was early in, or if not the first. So Pitt kind of said, hey, we love you right off the bat. We offered, they used that. But to your point, 9 times out of 10, it's not as important as it comes across. It really isn't.
Second thing that I think is completely overrated, and just because of a lot of different things in athletics today, is the local kids. And that drives me nuts too. Do you get the local kids? I hate to break it to people. The WPIL isn't what it was 20 years ago. Not producing the same amount of players, just aren't. Just because a kid has a Division I offer, I saw this today. Look at all the kids in the WPL that have Division I. Doesn't make Power 5 worthy. And this local thing, and I think that this draft was a great example of that. When you looked at the 4 states in the this past NFL draft, of all the players drafted, and from that we had a graphic, the three of the 4 states, and had the 5 states: Florida, California, Texas, Georgia. Where are Pitt's top 3 states that they've been recruiting? Not Texas is in that yet, but they're making a push. But Georgia, as you mentioned, Georgia and Florida. You go where the talent is. You don't recruit around. Is it nice to get the best player in the WPIAL? Yeah, obviously they got that day on Hayes. They're trying to get Elliott Donald now, but you don't just offer a kid around here because he has a Division I scholarship. That's how you get yourself in trouble.
See, to me, it doesn't faze me. I think I've been doing this too long. Not that I'm jaded, but you go where the talent is. And if there's like what we just talked about, a local example of a talented player wants to go elsewhere, so be it. You tap into Georgia, you tap into Florida. There is a reason Archie Collins is down there. There's a reason Charlie Partridge is the dean of Florida, and they're holding on to him because there's so much talent down there to get. I have no qualm. At the end of the day, if you strip everything away and I'm a Pitt fan, I want to see them win. I could care less if the players from Beaver County or the players from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I'm with you. It's a myth. It's a mythos. I think some of these local players people see and kind of ingratiate and fall in love with, but ultimately there's a lot of talent out there, and Pat Narduzzi's in the right spot to get it.
Last myth we're going to get into is explain to the fan out there, Harry, because I don't know that they realize this, is committable offers. Explain it. We say that term a lot and it's used a lot. Just because you receive an offer from a program, not all of them are committable.
Right. Best way to put it, hypothetically, is I need 2 defensive tackles. I have a list of 20 on my radar, but I have a pecking order. And trust me, it's just like an NFL team heading into the draft. They have a pecking order of players. So you may extend 20 offers, but those players that are hypothetically 15 through 20, you're pushing them off. You're probably not focused as hard on those players, but you know that if you're losing your top 10, then you reshuffle the deck, and those now you're going to prioritize. So this happens quite a bit. So to your point, you see a lot of these offers going out. I just talked about recently, they've offered a bunch of DBs here within the last 2 or 3 days, but they have their pecking order and they know who they're trying to close. That may have just happened here. I personally, even with quarterbacks, there were 3 to 4 strongly on the radar, a few that may have wanted to commit. I think they preferred Yarnell and closed hard on Yarnell, and they got them. So all the rest may have been pushed off. This happens quite a bit. So there are committable and non-committable offers, and it's just a reality of the game. The non-committable offer essentially says, we like you, and we're looking at you. But if they're not talking to them on a daily, weekly basis like some of these other players,
right,
you're not a priority. It's just the reality of the game.
And the other spin-off to that is, we said this on the phone the other day because I think it did come out with the quarterback situation. There's some offers that have expiration dates. Once a program, they want one quarterback, and they're talking, and they like you, and they could be giving you virtual tours and talk to the coaches all the time. But as soon as they get that quarterback, as soon as they get a quarterback commitment, your offer's done. It expired.
Exactly. A good example everybody can relate to that's watching this videos. WVU was Kenny Robinson. He just got drafted, actually, so to his credit. But I recall all the fans were frustrated that Pitt didn't get him. What they didn't understand was there were a lot of players that coveted that scholarship that they really liked, and Narduzzi pretty openly told him, you have until X date, then we got to move on. So he knew it. He didn't commit. They took a player shortly after, and that was it. So, some of these players don't realize that, but that there is not if you're a complete, total 5-star, 4-star blue chip,
your offers are no matter what.
They're going to wait. But in some scenarios, they're not waiting for you, especially if it's kind of like the finalize a position where they just want to tap it off and move on to others, just fill the class. Yeah, they're going to try to close hard, but there's limitations on that scholarship.
All right, here, last thing we're going to get into is the board's starting to fill up a little bit. They have 9 commitments in an average class, a normal class. We don't know stuff that happens. Kids could transfer out of the program. They have 18 kids graduating this year. So right there, they want to take 18. So you could look at it as though they're halfway filled, having 9 commitments. We know at the end of the year, kids transfer, kids leave the team, everything like that. So it'll be more than 18, probably in the range of 20, 21, 22. They have a quarterback, they have a running back, 2 receivers, 2 linemen, 2 defensive ends, and a safety. Looking at the board, guessing where are some positions that they're going to be looking for next.
The one first one that stands out to me is defensive tackle. The last one I can recall they took was Kalijah Cansey, who I think is actually going to be very good. But last year they took Timothy Brown.
Right.
Timothy Brown got into bit of
A little
trouble,
bit.
bit of trouble,
Yeah, a little bit.
little bit. And so they didn't take one in the last class. You're losing some impact linemen. You know, you're going to be losing Jalen. You're going to be losing Keyshawn Camp. And you kind of hope that Cansey, Danielson, Bentley, Daniel Green, I'm trying to think who else was there.
Yeah.
One of those guys is really going to step up. You need some quality D tackles. I'd like to see about 2 taken. It wouldn't shock me because of what they're losing if you see even like a more of an advanced, like a prep schooler that they might offer. But I think you need at least a few D tackles. Linebacker has been yet to address. Tight end, the infamous position of tight end. A little bit more talent there. You're going to be losing Kroll. And in an ideal world, he looks very talented. He could get drafted. So I would say a few D tackles, a tight end. You know, they have yet to address linebacker, corner. So those are some of the spots you're going to see. And it wouldn't shock me if they had one more lineman, offensive lineman. But that whole myth that Pitt's lacking, by the way, I hear this constantly, offensive linemen. They built up a really damn good, it's young, but really good offensive lineman. If you look at the prospects that are there, they're going to be pretty darn good here in the next few years.
All right, Harry. We appreciate the time. What's on tap at the Psaros house tomorrow?
Gardening. I'm going to be.
Gardening.
I'm hoping to start a garden. Yeah, I'm going to go for taking my sons for a workout in the morning. We've been hitting it about a day. We do about an hour and a half. Go do circuit training, all this stuff. But yeah, I'd like to start up a garden tomorrow. So God willing, the weather's good. It's been pretty rough recently, so we'll see. But it's been great talking with everybody. Always great for you, Mike.
All right, Harry. We'll try to do something. I'm sure there'll be some more news this week, and we'll check in on Zoom.
Awesome. That'd be great.
All right, brother.